Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today we finally got that developer blog on legendary items. Ever since a few weeks ago when they told us that legendary items were coming to patch 8.4, we have been wanting to know how they work, how we can make them, how we can get them, and now we're going to finally have our questions answered. So in this development blog, which is linked in the description below, we're going to go ahead and discuss it and some of the questions and answers. So first off, legendary items. Hello everyone and welcome to the legendary item dev blog. Legendary items in last epoch have evolved heavily since we first concepted them a few years ago. We are very excited to say that you will be forging your own legend by completing the first dungeon and creating a legendary item of your own. A legendary item is a composite item made up of a unique and an exalted item. You, however, may not just use any unique with any exalted. It requires specific criteria to be met. And what that means is you will be able to combine a unique item and an exalted item. The unique item will retain all of its affixes, but you will be able to add some of the affixes from the exalted, some or all, depending on how good of a unique you have, to it. Therefore, you can get a lot of affixes. You could, just off the top, for an example, you'd be able to take like the Bastion of Honor. You'd keep all the same stats, being able to block all nearby attacks and whatnot, but you could take an exalted item that had block chance or increased or flat health on it, and or block effectiveness even, and you would be able to throw those onto, well, not throw, but when you craft, there'd be a chance for some of those or all of those, depending on the legendary potential of your unique, on the Bastion of Honor, to be able to have them on there and have more fixes than you would normally have, therefore having a legendary unique. So let's dive into exactly how this works and some of the examples they gave us. Legendary potential. Unique items can now drop with new property called Legendary Potential. This is a new stat that ranges from 0 to 4 and determines the unique's ability to be transformed into a legendary item in the Eternity Cache. As you can see in these pictures, you have a Nightbringer that's got 2 legendary potential. You have an Omnividence that has 1 legendary potential. You can have a unique drop that has 0, which means you can't add anything to it. What this number represents is the number of affixes when you craft it, how many affixes it's going to randomly take from that exalted item. If you have a 4 here, it will take all 4 affixes from the exalted item that you had. If you have a 1 like this, then it means it's randomly going to pull out an equal chance each one of the affixes on that exalted item that you have. You cannot, in the next patch, seal an exalted item and then try and use it. The exalted item must only have 4 affixes on it, and it must have 4 affixes. You cannot just take an exalted item that has 1 affix and try and, sneak it in having that 1 affix go on it. It must have 4 affixes on it, and then you can combine them. So let's go down here. Low-level unique items will generally roll with more legendary potential than endgame uniques. Finding a low-level unique with 4 legendary potential will still be very rare, but not as astronomically unlikely as finding an Omnis with 4 legendary potential. And Mike was talking in the dev stream and saying that finding legendaries with 3 or 4 on them is going to be very, very rare. Like, you're basically going to find ones with 0, 1, or 2. How do I get a legendary item? So to create a legendary item, you need a unique item with legendary potential and an exalted item of the same type with 4 unsealed affixes. This means that you can use any exalted 4 affix shield to create a legendary Bastion of Honor. So you have a Bastion of Honor here, and then you have a shield, and because this has a legendary potential of 2, it's going to randomly take 2 of these affixes all at an equal chance. And in the example that they show us here below, you'll see a picture. It's actually going to take the health, and it's going to take the increased melee damage, and add both of those stats to the Bastion of Honor. So as we go down, it takes time to forge a legend into the record books, so you'll have to employ a new mechanic in our temporal sanctioned dungeon to create a legendary item. At the end of the dungeon, you will be rewarded with the ability to access the Eternity Cache in 2 different eras. You place your 2 items into the cache in the past, and when you return in the future, you'll be greeted with your new legendary item. Legendary potential determines how many affixes will be extracted and transferred to the exalted item into your from your exalted item onto your unique item, making it a legendary. And here you can see the Eternity Cache. You can put in your unique and you can put in your exalted item, and then you seal it, and boom, it's sealed. You come back, which we don't know, I think that's just a few seconds later. Boom, you'll notice that you have a legendary Bastion of Honor, and you created this. It took the health, it took the increased melee damage, and you have all of the other stats. You now have an even more powerful shield. And you can do this with any unique in the game, which is crazy. To guarantee that everyone who completes the dungeon has some legendary to make, the boss will always drop some combination of items which can be used to make a legendary item. However, we can't guarantee the quality of this legendary, so you might want to prepare yourself ahead of time. and inside of there you will have access to your stash tab to pull out uniques that you need. The goal of the system, when they designed this system, they were quite often looking for ways to make loot drops more exciting. You may have noticed that a large number of unique items are going largely unused. Many of them have very cool mechanics on them, but they just lack the stats that they're needed at endgame. This system makes it to where you could add resistance or health or stats that you actually need on it in order to make it viable for endgame while keeping these unique passive or attributes or affixes that are on it that make you want to use it in the first place, especially at lower levels. So this can be a great way for all those leveling uniques to become endgame uniques with extra stats, and it's a great way for chase items for endgame uniques to become even more potent, and you'll have a little bit of power creep. We didn't want to completely invalidate exalted items as a rare and exciting drop to get, so we decided that we would incorporate exalteds as an ingredient needed to make a legendary item. Another big advantage here is that it doesn't invalidate your crafting system. We wanted to make sure that this would feel like a natural extension of the current crafting system rather than a replacement. So as you level up, you get your rare items, you do some crafting, then eventually you find some exalteds, you craft on those. Well, now you want to craft the perfect exalted item that has 4 fixes on it that you want, combined with a unique that you want, so that you have the best potential. So it still uses crafting all the way through the leveling and the progression of the system, and then at the end you'll be able to combine them, and you're really working towards something that in the ultimate end game goal that you want the whole time through the entire game, which is really cool. One thing we have felt we were missing was multiple large drops that fit together, where you can see tangible progress towards one super item. This system combines multiple drops into a more powerful whole in a directed way, making this the most number of different items we've ever had to really get excited about dropping. And it's true. You are now going to be excited with any unique that you find, because if it has legendary potential on it, you're instantly going to start thinking of, wow, let's go look through all of the exalted items I've created and see what I can combine there to make something that would be very potent in the end game, even possibly stronger than the unique or the exalted or rare item that you already have that you've been working on. And then they have an FAQ for a bunch of questions. I'm not going to go through all of these. I've named some of them above already, but in short, the unique and the exalted will have to be of the same set. You will have to have 4 set affixes or 4 affixes on the item in order to use it. You can do this with any unique that you have. In the end game, when it comes to finding these, you are more likely to find higher legendary potential on an item in level 100 than you are in lower levels, so you want to be in a level 100 area, and it's very, very, very unlikely to find an endgame high-level endgame base like Omnis or Orion's Eye to fall with a legendary 3 or 4 potential, like almost impossible, unlikely. So you can think of how rare those are to already find, and now you want one to fall with legendary potential. There's some real chase there, but at the same time, it's going to take a lot of time for any of that to ever happen, and getting one of these will be super, super rare. On another note, set items will not be able to be used for this. You cannot use set items in this. They must be plain uniques. And the last thing, when it comes to a unique being brought over, does the level requirement of a legendary item go up with the level of the exalted item? Yes, when you combine it to make a legendary item, it's based on the affixes that you brought over. So if you use a low level unique, such as like a ladle, there is a possibility to bring that ladle all the way up much, much higher. And that's going to basically wrap it up. If you guys are wondering what the rest of these questions are or have more, leave it in the comments below. Again, this link to this forum post is in the description below. So check it out, read through them. And again, if you have any questions, put it in the comments below. I'll answer them when I can. As always, stay safe. And I hope you're really excited for these, because this is going to change the end game a ton, and I am super excited for it. As always, stay safe and have a good one.